My name is Robert Martin Amundson. Amundson's a Norwegian name, but I've been going by Marty for 85 years now. So
I think that works then.
So usually it's R. Martin if I sign something, Amundson.
Okay.
Amundson, if you need that. But
okay. And we're at the Westminster Library, and it is, April 23rd, 2011.
Oh, I just made a check out for the 24th for the library.
Oh. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood, where and when you were born?
Well, I was born June 16, 1926 in, I guess it was just north of Milwaukee County. I can't think of the name of the county now. But, and then we lived in, we're kind of a rural community. We just had a 4-acre place. My dad was a newspaper man, and but we lived out in the country. It was wonderful. And then I think when I was about 5 or 6, we moved to north central Wisconsin, to Trempealeau County, and lived on my grandfather's farm for about a year because jobs were tough then. So Dad had a newspaper job, found one in Chicago, which was fine. And so my mother and my sister and I lived in Trempealeau County for a little over a year, and I remember that very well, and that was beautiful. It was we had a river going through the back of the farm.
Wow.
The Trempealeau River, as a matter of fact. So, and Grandpa he was a rural mail carrier. He delivered mail with a horse and buggy. So he had a couple of horses, and I used to help feed. And then, of course, we had everything we needed for self-sufficiency, cows and chickens. And I remember there was a goose used to chase me. Until I got wise to how to handle that, but without hurting it. But it was just a wonderful place to grow up. And then my dad went to work for a newspaper in Milwaukee, and which is where my mother had come from originally anyway. And so we went back to the big city sort of thing. But we lived in a suburb, which was nice, and we had about 4 acres there, so my dairy farmer and a vegetable farmer across the road would plow up a couple of acres of our property. My sister and I got plenty of exercise, pulling weeds and things like that. And we had enough room. We put in a baseball diamond, so all the kids played at our place, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
And a lot of trees to climb, that type of thing. And my grandchildren don't quite believe it. When we lived in northern Wisconsin, they didn't have the rural electrification hadn't come through, so we had kerosene lamps and fly papers hanging down from the ceiling because the screening wasn't that great. Yeah. Houses weren't insulated real good, and it did get cold during the winter, and the evenings were quite cold. We had a wood stove, but and if it was super cold, we'd sleep downstairs around the stove. And we didn't have indoor plumbing, wow. And they can't even believe we didn't have cell phones and TVs. Some of the younger ones.
No
now.
iPods?
No. I do have an Apple desktop now. But when we moved back to the Milwaukee area, I went to a 6-room grade school, I think. And I think several teachers taught a number of the classes.
I'm shaking it.
And it was enjoyable. Well, most of the time I've lived sort of in country type areas. Like right now we live about 2 miles below Bullocks here in Westminster. We have about 4.5 acres. We have a stream in the back, and we got a wonderful dog. And a lot of work to do outside, which I enjoy.
Good.
And so does my wife, Christine, with a C. Daisy's with a D. So
when did you move to Carroll County?
that was in don't write it down yet, I think it was 1958. I worked, well, when I got out of grade school, I just don't have to write this down, but then we went to a suburb of Milwaukee called, believe it or not, Wauwatosa. It's an Indian name. But and I went to high school, middle school and high school there, and that was great too. I still have a couple of buddies I used to walk to school with. I talk to on the we get together on the email. One lives in Arkansas and one in San Diego. So yeah, so there's still a few of us around.
Yeah.
But then I graduated in June of '44, and I went in the Navy the next day. Well, 2 days later. And then I spent 2 years in the Navy, and about 3/4 of the time I was on a destroyer escort, which is a little smaller than a destroyer. And we were in the North Atlantic for a little while, and then we went over to the Pacific. And at the end of the war, we were out of Okinawa, and everybody was preparing for the invasion of Japan, which of course didn't happen, but. And I wasn't sad about that. None of us were.
Yeah.
So I came back, and I went to the University of Wisconsin. Fortunately, I had the GI Bill, because I used to get a kick out of people when you say, well, you got your college for nothing. And I said, well, it wasn't exactly for nothing.
Yeah, definitely not.
But then when I graduated from the University of Wisconsin, I got a job with a machine tool building company in Wisconsin. And I worked with them for 41 years. And so it's the only full-time job I ever had. And I retired at 65, so which I shouldn't have. I wish I hadn't, but because it was fun.
Yeah.
I loved the job, and I loved the customers. But so I didn't have a very interesting, it was to me.
Yeah.
Many of my customers were also my very good friends. And there aren't many left, but that I know of. But it was a nice association. And then my wife worked at Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab. So when she walked to work, we lived about we bought a new house there. It was being built, and she walked to work for a little while, and then we bought this land out here. And I cleared the land myself. It was all trees, mostly red oaks and white oaks.
Wow.
Some chestnut oaks. And we had a place in northern Wisconsin also, 160 acres on a mill pond in the Nicolay National Forest. My dad bought years ago, and he left to me. And so I had a lot of experience in cutting down trees. So
I guess you would.
I cleared the wood, because some of those devils would have been big around over here. When they hit the ground, they'd shake. But... so it's kept me busy, and although one thing I never encourage anybody to retire if they like their job, keep working, my goodness.
Yeah.
Where were we? Well, so not too long after, I went from the Navy to University of Wisconsin to my job, and I started in engineering, and I was trying to, I guess, sow wild oats, type of thing. And in Wisconsin, it's a long, don't put this, that's the wrong college for that, because it has a terrible reputation for drinking. And I think they're right up, they haven't lost it either. Of course, there's a lot of colleges in that category, but that's no excuse. But so I'd gone from high school to a couple of years, and about a year and a half I was overseas on a little ship in the middle of wherever. So, I thought, well, this is great being back home. And so engineering, you really have to work steady.
Yeah.
And you got to do all of your homework. Well, anyway. So I took a semester off after a year and a half, and I worked in a railroad car repair yards in Milwaukee, and that convinced me I was going back to college.
Yeah.
And I switched to journalism and advertising. And I was hired by my company, and I took over the advertising department after about a year. But then I found they had a sales training program, and that sounded a lot more interesting. So you start out as a serviceman. You go, I travel all over the country, installing and repairing machinery, and then the sales training program took over, and that was part of it. And then when this territory opened up, I got this in '58, and I've been here ever since. So, and I retired in. I was there 41 years, so you can do the math. Wait a minute, I started before '58. We moved out here in '58. I started in 1951, right out of college, and started for the company, but I didn't move out. I got in sales and got transferred out here in '58, and then I retired at age 65. And soon after that, I started taking some college courses, and then I took some at right down below in the Laurel area. What's the name of it? Is that not Catonsville? Is it?
Oh, I don't know.
Community college. I took some electronic courses because I was selling well, by that time, getting into computer control equipment, and that wasn't any specialty in journalism school. So I took courses in that, and I was going with people like your age, but I was a lot younger then. And I didn't learn as fast, I don't think, but my customers thought I knew a lot about our equipment, which was good, and I did. But then mechanically, I could do anything, or hydraulically, or electrically, but electronically, that's something else. Yeah. So that's how I got to know my customers so well, because we were the most expensive equipment on the market, but if anything happened to theirs, I used to go there on weekends.
Wow.
Lockheed Martin, it used to be Martin Marietta years ago. Glenn L. Martin many years ago, aerospace in East Baltimore. They're still one of the largest defense builders nationwide in the world, I think, Lockheed Martin. But I remember one of their vice presidents called me when I was on vacation one time, and he was upset because the machine he'd just spent about $1 million for was not working properly.
Oh my!
And they couldn't get a serviceman, so I went in from my vacation, and then I got a guy out of our factory in Milwaukee, and I borrowed parts from another customer, so we wouldn't have to wait to get them, and I was their hero. Wow. But I mean, I knew how important it was, so I'm jumping all over the map. Old people talk too much sometimes. But at any rate, I've enjoyed my life very much, and now we have, as I say, between the two of us, we have 5 children. I have 2, and my wife had 3. And I was married for 24 years, single for 3, and have been married for 33 years. So,
wow.
And we're all friends, everybody. But so that's why we're getting all these grandchildren. In fact, Chris has a lot more than I do. She's 5 years younger than I am.
Wow.
But they all married early.
Yeah. Have you noticed any changes in Carroll County since you've been here?
Since I've been here?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, of course, the suburban areas have all built up so much. Yeah. And when we bought this land 17, 18 years ago, even then, it didn't seem... it's not crowded, but the roads can get a little crowded. So I'm glad I'm not driving to work in Baltimore or Washington and some of those places. But, and I like Carroll County very much. Now, not for publication, but it's one of the few relatively conservative Republican counties in the world, I think. Wisconsin was the birthplace of the Republican Party, but it's pretty much a Democratic state now, except the new governor's made a lot of noise, but it won't get very far. But that isn't why we came to Carroll County. Howard County was nice, too. That's where I first moved. I first moved. But we like it here very much. when my wife saw downtown Westminster, and she said, "Oh my goodness, this looks like you're going back 75 to 100 years." And I said, "Isn't that wonderful?"
Shops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I used to live in a little town called Blair, Wisconsin, which back then had. Well, my grandfather not only wrote the mail carrier, he was also owned a newspaper, the Blair Press. They're still in business, but and my dad and one of his brothers learned the printing business that way.
Yeah.
And Dad ended up with the Milwaukee Journal, which is it's the paper in Wisconsin as far as advertisement and circulation.
Wow.
Although you probably never hear of Gene McCarthy from Wisconsin, Senator
That
McCarthy.
sounds familiar, yeah.
Oh, he was a character, but he used to call it the Milwaukee Daily Worker. But I'm jumping all over the man.
That's fine.
But, well, and Chris, my wife, came from a little town called Sneedville, Tennessee, and I met her here.
Oh,
And,
in Carroll County? Or in
Well,
Maryland?
I met her when... Yeah, because that's right. The first house I bought was in Reisterstown when I moved out here. My first wife and I did. And well, anyway, so some years later I met Chris. But not in Carroll County. Her father was a dairy farmer down in Howard County. Or not her father. Her mother owned part of the farm. But her father had already passed away. But anyway, I met through a friend when my little single period there, and we just took to one another.
Good.
And she's wonderful. But it's one trouble with an 85-year-old brain, you get kind of drifted off.
Well, you mentioned that you have a dog, and...
Oh, that's Daisy. She's a schnoodle.
Oh.
SCH, half Schnauzer, half poodle. Oh, she's the love of our life, yeah.
Do you guys do things together in the community? I think someone else mentioned football games.
Oh, well, but Chris isn't much interested in football, but Daisy likes to go, and we always take a long walk before we go to the game. But and there's a number of dogs there, which if you go into any of them, there's a few dogs around. But and then usually somebody like your age says, "Oh, can I pet your dog?" I said, "Please do. She loves it." And then a number of them have tailgating, which was a big deal at Wisconsin. The only thing tailgating in Wisconsin was wild. But so they'd say, "Well, is it okay if she has a hot dog?" And I said, "Oh, sure, that would be all right." But I would break it up because she'd try to eat the whole thing. But she's about 12 pounds, not like that big, Mm-hmm. And she's 11 years old now. But she was a used dog when we got her. She was 6 months old, and a young couple had her, and they both worked. They'd never had a dog before.
Oh.
And my wife had never had a dog, except they had farm dogs. But farm dogs are not house pets.
No,
they live outside.
Different.
And they warn you when somebody's coming, that type of thing. But Daisy owns our place. She's going to be 11.
Oh.
But anyway, she loves going. Well, part of going to the game is she sees all these people, and she's a people person.
Yeah.
But we both are, so it works out good.
Good. Would you say that doing that kind of thing has helped keep you young, going out and, I guess...
Oh, sure. And I used to be in a church choir and things like that, but I haven't been doing that for a long time. But I used to sing, even at Wisconsin. I was in a little local road show we had of the musical Brigadoon, if you're familiar with that. Yeah, that was a long time ago. I love to sing. I still do, but I don't have the voice.
Well,
and I never did. Probably I was supposedly an Irish tenor. My mother's family came from Germany, and my dad and his family came from Norway. But that's all right.
Can you think of any other things that have maybe helped you age a little bit better than others who didn't?
I'm sure I look like 85, but whatever that is. But no, I don't think old, and neither does my wife. And she's got some problems. I mean, everybody does, but But I just don't think that way. But I have people, neighbors that are a lot younger than I am that talk about their health and all.
Right.
How you feel? And I say, I feel terrific. Even if I didn't, I wouldn't say it.
Yeah.
Because who cares? And it's not going to help. No, and I go to the Y. My wife was doing it up until recently. She would go with the group that started when they opened in the morning, like 6 o'clock, and spend a couple of hours there. But I usually go in the early afternoon. It's just a treadmill and some of the weight machines. But then I do maintain my own property. And
that's a lot of work.
When I bought the property, I bought several sizes of chainsaws, and I cut the trees down myself. And then I had a fellow that had a portable sawmill, and I had him saw them into boards, and I built a couple of sheds out in back. One is like a carpenter shop with a little porch, a little slope roof on it. And then I built another one for a small tractor and a few other things. And I love doing stuff like that. But Chris and I are always doing so. We like working outside.
Oh. So you're retired from your job, but you still...
Yeah, well, my job, I traveled a lot in the area.
Right.
And I would stay out maybe a couple nights a week, depending upon what part of the territory I was in. I also had Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia and Maryland and a little bit of Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And but nowadays it wouldn't be... You'd have to have a lot bigger territory because a good share of the metal cutting machinery, mm-hmm. some of it is half the size of this whole building, and some fit this room, but they did milling, drilling, boring, reaming, tapping, if you know what any of that is. And then we got into computer control where you clamp a part down on a pallet, which goes through a series of machines electronically, automatically, and right. They select and change their own tools and inspect the parts without any manual intervention, unless something goes wrong. And then, it tells you that real quick. But it was fascinating. But back in the old days, when everything was pretty much manually operated, I did know, by working in the plant and getting to service machinery in customer plants, I got to know the machines so well it helped me coming into a new territory like this, because I already had a list of who had what machines of ours. Some of them went back to, they started building them in 1895, but there's a lot of machines from World War II still in use and around here, and some from World War I, but most of it. And so when you go in there, you'd say, well, you still have such and such models, and we got a lot of trouble with it, so we take a look at it. And usually within a few hours, I could show them how to fix it. Or if it was something relatively simple, I could fix it myself. I used to carry a shop coat because I always wore a white shirt, tied, and a suit, and polished shoes and all that. So I would carry a working outfit.
Nice. Well, I know you're kind of in a hurry, so was there anything else?
I hope I didn't disappoint you.
No. That was exactly what I
could tell you minor war stories, but they're not that interesting. No, I like what you're doing. I when I switched to journalism from engineering, of course, I also was the sports editor of the high school paper, the Cardinal News, we called it. And so I did a lot of that. And in fact... my mother saved a lot of my clippings, so my mother was 101 when she died. And my dad was only 85, but he had a problem that nobody knew about until it was too late. But because he was very active.
Right.
But Mother, she was fantastic. She didn't take any medicines.
Incredible.
Yeah. But my sister, she graduated from Marquette University in Milwaukee, and she worked for... She ended up being credit manager of a company in the Milwaukee area, but she used to travel to their places around the country and all, and set up offices. Now she's fantastic. She died a couple of years ago, but she wrote for the a couple of the local papers. Oh, I used to write for the Wauwatosa News, too, which was a paper like the Carroll County Times.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still in business, too. Because I remember when you're doing this, I interviewed the guy that used to be whatever they call a leading insurance salesman of that particular period. And he also had played for the Chicago Bears professional football team.
Oh.
And he lived right around about 2 blocks from where my parents lived. John Sisk, I remember him. And he was, I thought, gosh, this is great. I still have the article I wrote.
Yeah.
Well, my mother had it, and then she saved everything. Okay.
Well,
Well,
thank
sorry
you.
if I bored you. But
No, that was perfect. Thank you so much for your time.